Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the 12 greatest orchestral showpieces. The works that just take a big orchestra and let it rip. Totally uninhibited delight in making fabulous, unusual, extraordinary sounds, using this incredible ensemble of instruments to the max. That's what we've got here. And oh my, what a list. It's like so much fun. Let's begin at the beginning with the father of the orchestral showpiece, Berlioz. Now, everything he wrote with orchestra was a showpiece. I mean, because his use of the orchestra was revolutionary. I mean, it was under Berlioz where a large orchestra used with a complete lack of inhibition became a goal in and of itself, or part and parcel to the musical purpose. And of course, nothing illustrates that better than the Symphonie fantastique, which was written within only a couple years of the death of Beethoven, and which sounds like it came from another universe. Really, really extraordinary, virtuosic use of a large orchestra, all in the service of Berlioz's insane program of trying to get over his love for his girlfriend who ditched him, and he's trying to kill himself and take opium, and I mean, oh my gosh, it's just insane. And in order to illustrate all of these things, he just pulls out all the stops that he could back in the 1830s. Really kind of amazing. It's just an extraordinary achievement. It created an entire new way of using instruments and of thinking about the orchestra. And so Berlioz has to be in this list. I mean, absolutely has to be this. Now, of course, we've just did a talk about the Symphonie Fantastique, about how, it's usually pretty boring in performance because it's not played with the requisite hysteria and passion and drive and neurosis and all of those things. But it is, for all that, a showpiece. And when it's done the way Berlioz intended that it be done, well, and it's just one of the most thrilling things that anybody ever thought of. So there you go. Next, the other father of the orchestral showpiece, Rimsky-Korsakov, Scheherazade. Now, Scheherazade is a fascinating piece because it's in 4 movements. Rimsky considered it a symphonic suite, not a symphony. And it's not, really. I mean, it doesn't have anything in like sonata form or one of those things. It's mostly based on repetition and color. And that was Rimsky-Korsakov's intention. He said that he wanted to create a piece in which the musical argument was carried forward by the elaboration and color of the various instruments and the way he used them to repeat the themes in the work, which all, are sort of interrelated and visit each other regularly. And it really worked fabulously well. And it created, he doesn't get credit for it, of course, but it created really a different aesthetic in the handling of the orchestra and handling of symphonic form as well. So, yeah, really a nifty piece is Scheherazade. And, of course, his Capriccio Espagnole and the Russian Easter Overture and his orchestration of A Night on Bald Mountain and things like that all fit into the same category, as do his opera suites, because he was simply a master at orchestration. And for him, color was its own justification. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. Number 3, Richard Strauss, an Alpine Symphony. Well, this is the most glamorous of all of the Strauss tone poems. Also, some people would say, in terms of content, the most empty, but we don't care. I mean, emptiness is its own justification if you do it well. And the fact of the matter is, an Alpine Symphony is simply an incredible piece of orchestral mayhem with an insanely large orchestra. It's got wind machines and thunder machines and cowbells clanking and to represent cows, not like Mahler does. It's a poetic thing. And it's really Strauss's paean to the orchestra. All of his other tone poems, are marvelous. Some of them are just incredible, and they are fabulously well orchestrated, of course. But the Alpine Symphony really is sort of exists because he can just take this ridiculous ensemble and go crazy with it, and he does. It's absolutely marvelous, except it's 10 minutes too long, like everything Strauss wrote, but that's okay. Next, Respighi's Roman Trilogy, The Pines of Rome, The Fountains of Rome, Roman Festivals. Oh my God, 3 really rich, fabulous tone poems that set a new standard for orchestral brilliance and glamour and glitz. Oh, wow. I mean, even, the Pines of Rome has a recording in it, a recording of Nightingale number R42 or something like that, whatever it is. But it's a sound effects record that had to be used. I mean, Respighi was absolutely pulling out all the stops of these works, and they are just amazing to listen to. They're so much fun. It's not fair to have so much fun with these things. I've played 2 of them. I've never done festivals. I've done the Pines of Rome and I've done the Fountains of Rome. And both of them were under rather funny circumstances in community orchestras, which I've related elsewhere. But just to summarize briefly, in the Fountains of Rome, I had there were no percussionists except me, and we needed some extra ones, So I got a friend of mine from Stanford Business School. Hello, Javier, how you doing? And I had him get another friend of his. And I said, hey, I would like to go see a symphony concert. Put on a suit and tie. They did. And we went to the symphony concert and they were looking for their seats. I said, no. You're not seeing it from out front. You're playing percussion with me. And they had never seen either a symphony orchestra or, the instruments in question, at least up close. And I just said, when I say now, just do what I tell you to do. So that was fun. And then in the Pines of Rome, the Pines of Rome was that fabulous concert where the organ wouldn't shut off at the end. I mean, we got the last chord and the conductor gave the cutoff and the organ wouldn't stop. It got stuck on the last chord. It was like electric and something. So I had to walk up to it and pull the plug out of the console and it went like that. That was exciting. That was great fun. That was an orchestra where he had like all the brass winds and percussion and like this teeny tiny string section, 2/3 of a viola and 1/8 of a cello. And we didn't care because we just blasted the crap out of the piece. Oh, wow, was that fun. Okay, so that's Respighi. And then we have Stravinsky, The Rite of Spring. This is the primitivist masterpiece that follows the paradoxical rule that the more primal the music sounds, the more complex the orchestration has to be. Because Stravinsky just uses this massive orchestra with just gobs of brass and woodwinds and, percussion things and whatnot. But it's all, in order to produce music of rhythmic power. There's just that fabulous rhythmic drive and dissonance and cluster chords and, it's chord music. It's not line music. There's no counterpoint, none whatsoever in the entire piece, except at the very opening where it's all just sort of a jumble. And the idea is just to place it all in the service of barbaric primal rhythm. And the result is just head-poundingly, thrillingly exciting. On a totally different level, there's Bartók's Concerto for Orchestra. Now, this is a more intellectual orchestral showpiece because the piece really is a symphony in 5 movements. I mean, it has all of the forms of symphony. You've got sonata form, you've got rondo, you've got, all these different things. But it is a homage to what an orchestra can do, what the modern orchestra could do in the 1940s. It doesn't use a ridiculously large ensemble, but it treats the ensemble in its constituent parts and takes it apart and puts it together just about every movement. Everybody gets something marvelous to do. Everybody gets something virtuosic to do. It's incredibly colorful, wonderfully tuneful. And really, Bartok was dying of leukemia when he wrote it. And it represents a summing up of somebody who was incredible master both of form and sonority. And so it's always been popular. I mean, it's amazing, really, when you think about it. There aren't that many pieces of music that get written and then immediately enter the standard repertoire, like the next day. And this piece did, and deservedly so. It's remarkable. But now let's do a couple. Well, one of the great ways to do an orchestral showpiece is to represent something in nature, and particularly like a natural disaster. And the king of natural disaster pieces was Iceland's Jan Leifs, whose Hekla is the ultimate natural disaster. It's a volcanic eruption rendered with incredible graphic specificity. Now, the best recording of Hekla, it's only been done like 3 times because it's so impractical. It uses a crazy large orchestra with 22 percussionists, and you have to play things like chains and pistol shots and actual volcanic rocks from Hekla that you hit with hammers, and anvils, which I performed the anvil part on the best recording of it, which is on the album called Earquake on Ondine, which has like the loudest classical music ever. It's really a fun disc, I have to say. And that performance of Hekla under Leifs is just fantastic. There's one on Bis with the Iceland Symphony, but the ensemble really isn't large enough, and the conducting is just a little bit limp, quite honestly. It also has a chorus at the end that sings very little. It's just a couple lines about how, volcanoes are fearsome. And it's only about 10 minutes long, 12 minutes, so nobody does it because, well, you got to have something else going in order to justify the cost of bringing all those people together. At the recording sessions for Ondine, in which I was the special guest anvil soloist with the Helsinki Philharmonic, they were short one percussionist because they were doing Salome at the opera, which requires 9. And at the time, so they just hauled me up there, and I will never forget playing the anvil part because I figured it's an anvil. It's 2 anvils, a big one and a little one. How complicated could it be? Well, most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's just clank, 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 like that. It's pretty straightforward. But your initial entrance, the initial entrance to the anvil part was like, and I was sight reading it for the first time, and I think I got most of it. At least Segerstam didn't complain. I'm not sure he noticed, and with all the hysteria that was going on, we had the chains were in the balconies, and oh my God, it was fun. So Hekla is definitely like an orchestral showpiece to end all orchestral showpieces. But good luck, waiting to see it live. At least you can get a decent recording on Ondine. So think about that. Then, of course, Holst, the planets. It's gotta be, right? Well, what a fabulous orchestral showpiece that is. I've played that one a few times too. It's more fun than anyone has any right to do. Gee whiz, it's great. It's absolutely great. We did it. I did it with the Stanford Symphony, where I got to be, glockenspiel soloist in Jupiter, and I actually got it right. Da 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 da. Da 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 ba-da-da-dum 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 bum. I was so proud of myself. But oh God, was that fun. Beautiful, wonderful piece. And so colorful and written with such clarity and efficiency. It's another rhythmic study, actually, almost like the Rite of Spring. It's not a primitivist rhythmic study, but every movement is a study in rhythm, often compound rhythms. It's very, very hard to do. It's difficult music to count properly, but sounds great. And that big orchestra, the juicy big orchestra. You got heckelphones and alto flutes and all kinds of extended colors in the woodwind section. Totally fabulous. A euphonium in the brass section, 2 sets of timpani, an organ, virtuoso celesta part, and offstage women's choir. Come on. What's not to love? It's fantastic. But now we have to turn to one of the great showpieces that a lot of people sort of poo-poo, Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. But come on. It's played on like every 4th of July in the United States. It's a celebratory piece that people do outdoors, fireworks going off. It's one of the few pieces of music that's written for an entire city. Because remember, in addition to the fusillade of cannons and things like that that happened at the end, you've also got all the bells in all of the churches everywhere. That's a little ambitious. Plus your offstage brass bands. It's fantastic. And it's all deployed with extraordinary precision, because that's how Tchaikovsky was. He was incredibly detailed in the way he wrote these things. And he, of course, he hated everything he wrote. So his view of the work was, it's very noisy. Well, yes, it's very noisy, but gloriously so. I mean, it has wonderful tunes, fantastic tunes. It's a thrill to listen to, and it brings the house down everywhere it's performed. And the only thing you can do to it is not be big and vulgar enough. I mean, you've got to just pull out all the stops and let it rip and get all the bells going and the cannons flying. And oh my God, it's beyond exciting. I mean, some of the most exciting moments of my concert life have been watching the 1812 Overture. I mean, up at Tanglewood, we used to go in the summers with the Boston Symphony and for the 4th of July concerts and things like that. It's just great. It's the celebratory piece par excellence. And it does not deserve to be denigrated by people who think that it lacks content. It's not sublime. Screw that. Who cares? Next, another primitivist masterpiece, Varèse, Amériques. Well, this has sirens going off in it all over the place for those delicious sound curves that Varèse liked. It's another piece that's written for just a foolishly large orchestra, 8 horns, 6 trumpets, scads of woodwinds. Even the last time Varèse ever used harps, they don't do very much of the piece. They just sort of go thump, 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 with an alto flute going do 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 do, and it's probably got the loudest final chord ever. It's incredible. What a blast. And it's, of course, got insane writing for percussion and tons and tons and tons of it. It's wild. It's wild. It's unbuttoned. It's 20 minutes of orchestral mayhem. And it's more fun than anyone has any right to have. And it quotes Mahler's 7th at one point, which is very strange. Anyway, it's a remarkable work and endless fun. And the more you listen to it, the more you hear in it, because it's got so much stuff going on at the same time in spots that, it's fun to listen down through the textures and sort of hear what he's doing. So Varèse really ought to be on anybody's list of the greatest orchestral showpieces. After that, he really didn't do any. There was he went into crazy avant-garde stuff. So that was his one marvelous contribution to the orchestral showpiece canon. And now, everybody thinks, if you think orchestral showpieces have to be empty and they're not serious and they're just sound effects looking for a purpose and there's no, nothing like, well, I got one for you. Mahler's 6th Symphony, the tragic. Oh, nobody can claim that this symphony does not have content. It is absolutely tragic. It is dark. It is harrowing. It's fabulously an expressionistic nightmare. It's wonderful. But the cool thing about Mahler's symphonies generally is that they have the content and they are all orchestral showpieces. Every one of them is, because he was the greatest symphonic orchestrator probably after Haydn, the greatest one certainly in modern times, because all of his effects are placed in the immediate service of the musical expression. And Mahler 6 has some serious effects. You've got your cowbells, which symbolize the last remnant of earthly life seen from on high on a mountaintop. You've got offstage chimes. You've got sledgehammers pounding in the finale. It's you've got 4 harps. Most of the time you have only 2. You've got virtuoso celesta passages. It's got all of the things that you hear in supposedly empty orchestral showpieces. But oh my goodness, this is full of emotion and of terror and all kinds of unbelievably gripping dynamism. The finale, it's a finale symphony, just the opening of the finale, the bass drum thump, the harps whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The soaring theme on the violins, the fate rhythm on the two sets of timpani. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. I mean, come on. If that's not an orchestral showpiece, I don't know what is. But it also goes for the jugular, and it gets the jugular. So there you are. However, I think the greatest orchestral showpiece ever written, really, the one that defines orchestral showpiece, is the Mussorgsky Ravel Pictures at an Exhibition. It is a suite, so because it's a series of vignettes of pictures, it allows Ravel the opportunity to exploit different sections of the orchestra and different members of the orchestra. For every single bit has its own specific color, its own specific solos. You've got the saxophone solo in the Old Castle. You've got the muted trumpets in Goldenberg and Schmoyl, or whatever that thing is called, the two Jews who are arguing with each other. You've got incredible brass writing all over the place. Really amazing. The promenades, the solo trumpet opening. Really just an exceptional exploration of the orchestra, as only Ravel, one of the greatest orchestrators that ever lived, as only Ravel could pull off. And the very end, with the bells, the tam-tam crashing, and the brass chorale, and I mean, come on. That's what orchestral showpieces are all about. A wonderful variety of feeling, of texture, of color, of everything. It has everything. It has everything. I mean, if I only had to save one work to tell us what the modern symphony orchestra could do to represent what it is and what it could be at its most glamorous and extravagant and colorful, it would be Pictures at an Exhibition. So there you have it, my friends, my 12 greatest orchestral showpieces. You want to throw a few others in there? You want to toss in the Poem of Ecstasy or something like that? Be my guest. Let me see your list too. And keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.